Welcome back to Ṛkṣa-vibhāvana, the tropical Vedic podcast where we take a closer look at the astrology of the week ahead. Our focus is the week of January 18th through January 24th, 2026. This week marks a hinge point in the year, a moment where something long prepared finally crosses from structure into system, from weight into circulation, and from stone into circuit. Let's unpack. We're moving in the space of a few days from the heavy Saturnian domain of Capricorn to the connected marketplace of ideas and innovations associated with Aquarius. On Sunday, January 18th, we meet a new moon at 28 degrees and 44 seconds Capricorn in the Vedic nakshatra Śravaṇa. This is a late degree new moon, and late degrees always speak of maturity, of culmination, and of irrevocable choice. What begins here is not tentative. Last week we unpacked the archetype of Capricorn, noting its characteristics and traits, and the fact that Venus, Mars, and Mercury were joined in combustion with the Sun. This pattern is imprinted on the new lunar month, but it is done through the energy of the nakshatra Śravaṇa, where the Sun and Moon meet to birth the new lunation. Śravaṇa is the nakshatra of hearing, listening, and sacred transmission. In fact, the Sanskrit name Śravaṇa can be translated into English as listening. It is associated with the ear, not as a passive organ, but as the gateway through which wisdom enters history. Under this new moon, something essential is being heard clearly, perhaps after a long period of noise or confusion. Śravaṇa is the nakshatra of listening, but it teaches us how to listen, not merely what to hear. This is not the reactive listening that rushes toward every problem, every doubt, every inner critic clamoring for attention. Śravaṇa asks for a more discriminating attentiveness, the capacity to listen through the surface noise of life and sense what is actually being communicated beneath it. Guidance under the star often arrives quietly, through repetition, through subtle alignment, through an inner recognition that feels steady rather than urgent. This is a listening that resists panic and refuses distraction. When we cultivate it, life becomes articulate, and revelation no longer needs to shout to be heard. The presiding deity of Śravaṇa is Vishnu himself, the all-pervader, the sustaining presence that underlies and coheres the countless forms of existence. If Maya is the mother of the 10,000 things, endlessly generating diversity, movement, and appearance, then Vishnu is their silent father, the ground of being itself that holds them all without fragmentation. Vishnu does not compete with the noise of the world. He permeates it. To listen under Śravaṇa is therefore to listen for being beneath becoming, for the continuity that runs through change, the order that persists beneath fluctuation. In attuning ourselves to this deeper presence, we begin to hear not just events, but meaning, not just sound, but sustenance, and we remember that beneath the complexity of life, there is something whole, enduring and quietly guiding us forward. What makes this moment especially potent is that Pluto, although next door in Aquarius, is also in the Śravaṇa nakshatra at the beginning of this lunation. This matters because Pluto has changed sign, but not archetypal terrain. The same current of deep listening, ancient transmission, and structural truth still carries Pluto's force, but now that force is operating through Aquarian symbolism rather than Capricornian form. This creates a powerful hinge. Capricorn gathers and concentrates weight. Aquarius redistributes that weight through systems, networks, and collective intelligence. Although our focus here is the astrology of the week ahead, it's worth reflecting on the larger time frame we are moving through. It is without a doubt that slow-moving Pluto's arrival in Aquarius just a few years ago marked an epochal threshold, one whose consequences are only beginning to reveal themselves. Almost immediately we witnessed an acceleration of forces that had long been gestating beneath the surface. Artificial intelligence moving from speculative promise into lived reality, quantum computing stepping closer to practical application, and digital currencies re-emerging not merely as financial experiments, but as challenges to the very status quo. Pluto works at the same level of roots and inevitabilities. When it changes sign, it does not introduce trends so much as expose the next civilizational substrate. In Aquarius, Pluto descends into networks, algorithms, collective intelligence, and invisible infrastructures, reshaping how power circulates rather than where it visibly sits. This transit carrying us forward until 2044 is not about novelty for its own sake. It's about the reconstitution of reality itself. How knowledge is generated, how authority is distributed, and how humanity relates to intelligence beyond the merely human. What we are living through now is not a technological boom, but a deep reordering of the collective nervous system, one that will define the tone of an entire era. We are moving from cardinal Earth, Capricorn, to fixed air, Aquarius. Capricorn is a cardinal Earth sign. It builds by effort, by sequence, by endurance. It understands gravity and works with it. Aquarius is a fixed sign, a fixed air sign at that, related to the intellect and systems of thought. It stabilizes ideas, networks, and ideologies. It does not climb the mountain, but it connects the peaks. As the weeks unfold, the Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus move rapidly from Capricorn into Aquarius, and the emphasis shifts decisively. We move from hierarchy to systems, from duty to participation, from individual responsibility to collective architecture. What was forged under the compression of Capricorn now seeks circulation. Though also ruled by Saturn, just like Capricorn, Aquarius reveals the future-orientated face of Saturn, often challenging tradition. Also in the mix this week and for most of 2026 is the Uranus-Pluto trine. And that combination electrifies this transition we're living through. Uranus is the awakener, the disruptor, the revealer of new patterns. In trine, however, Uranus does not shatter, it updates. This is the signature of acceleration, technological breakthroughs, rapid reconfiguration of material systems, and sudden shifts in how resources, information, and power are distributed. We've all heard about a shift in the global order, and that shift is largely due to this Uranus-Pluto configuration. Earth and air working together translate insight into application. The theoretical becomes usable. The future moves closer. This Pluto-Uranus trine is not just relevant for this new lunar month, but since these two are slow-moving planets, sets the tone for the entire year. Now back to the astrology of the week ahead. Early in the week, Venus joins Pluto in Aquarius, peaking on the 19th of December and echoing through until the 22nd. This is deep re-evaluation. A reconsideration of loyalty, of financial commitments, of attachments and relationships, and above all, a re-evaluation of power dynamics. What is revealed now is not surface preference, but binding truth. What survives this conjunction is real, and that which cannot withstand this transit was already hollow to begin with. Midweek we encounter a Sun-Mercury conjunction, followed by Mercury joining Pluto. This gives the week its distinctly Plutonic quality. These are moments when insight penetrates, when speech carries weight, and truth cannot be unheard. What is named now sets trajectories, Words spoken under this sky are load-bearing. By Friday, Mars also enters Aquarius, and action turns outward. Effort seeks relevance beyond the personal. Will aligns with causes, collectives, and future-orientated goals. This is where the builder steps back and asks, how does this serve the whole? To recap, the week kicks off a new cycle, a cycle of conversation that opens new horizons, a breath of fresh air after Capricorn season. Capricorn laid the foundation, but now Aquarius activates the systems. Uranus accelerates and innovates, while Pluto ensures that the change is deep and lasting. Listen carefully, build deliberately, and speak only what you are prepared to stand behind. What begins here will not simply grow, it will reorganize the world it grows within. Thank you for tuning in with me. I have been your host, Kavi. You can find me on Instagram at Eye of the Vedas, and if you feel called to explore your own chart in greater depth, I offer personalized readings and one-on-one study through my page. Wishing you a wonderful new lunar month. Hare Krishna.